Hi, I'm back this time to share a little different technique with you. Always a lot of discussion on an easy way to store all your multitudes of Cricut cartridges, um, and so they're easy to find what you need to get and things. I sort of have been debating this for a while and actually came up with a couple different ways. I started originally just putting them in the photo boxes, which ended up not holding more than I think 5 or 6 of them at a time, which didn't work real well either. So recently I came up with a new way to store it. I have only 13 cartridges or something like that. So I ended up finding at my local, I think you probably find them at Target or things like that, a storage container by Sterilite. And this is, needless to say, it's 11 by 6 5/8 by 2 3/4. I think this was like $1.99 or something like that. It has a very nice lid to it. The lid actually is grooved so you can stack another one on it and they don't slide around, and it does stay intact because it actually wraps around the top like that and then that comes off. So what I ended up doing was to have a way to keep all the cartridges intact so they didn't fly all over the place. I ended up making a little box taking chipboard. And as you can see, this ends up holding like 13 of the cartridges. The dimensions of the box that I used for the chipboard was, I used a piece, and it was actually what I took was a storage mailing box that came to me from like UPS. It ended up being 6 1/4 inches wide, so this would be from 6, it's 2 inches this way, 2 1/4 on the bottom, and another 2 inches over here, so that's 6 3/4, or 1/4, excuse me. And then lengthwise ended up being 14 3/4 long, so 6 1/4 wide on your chipboard by 14 3/4 inches long. Just did a standard box. I ended up, as you can see on the inside, put the two tabs together on the inside, glued that all together, did a little inking, and then I did put some heavy textured paper over it. I think this is die cuts with a view. Probably there once upon a time. I got a bunch of that dirt cheap, so I ended up using it because it's got butterflies and purples and blues. And then on the inside, to make the actual dividers, those are just typical manila envelopes, or actually manila folders from the office sections, and I just cut that down into 2 1/4 inch strips and fan folded them basically I forget how deep they are because this is glued to the bottom of the paper of the box then, but I made these divided areas so each of the cartridges would be easier to take in and out. So that is something that I did come up with, and then it just goes back into the box, and the pad covers over the keyboard go in right next to it. And like I said, I can get 13 of those into each of those boxes. I am in the process of making the second one, hoping to get some more cartridges, and I'll do better dimensions on that. Another storage technique that I wanted to show to you was we all do a lot of distressing, and when you get done with your distressing tool and you get the little pads, it's like, what do you do with them after that point in time? They end up going all over the place. Needless to say, I ended up going to one of my craft stores. I don't know, I might have gotten this even at Big Lots or somewhere, and got, I think this was in the jewelry section. It was a container for like beads to go in. It was divided out into the 6 sections and the 7th section. I thought it was going to be perfectly sized to put it in. You can't put it this way because it's too tall. So I ended up cutting down the one section so that my tool would go in there. And then on each of the pieces of foam, I ended up writing on the side, I don't know if you can see that, the color of the ink that I used. And then those stack into the actual container. And needless to say, you can grab that foam pad very quickly and be able to reuse it over and over, and you're not having to dig through a drawer or take them out of an envelope. And they are also written on the back in black ink as well what they are, so if they do get too dirty, I can read on the back to know what color it was as well. So that's just a little technique tip that I have come up with, and this is just easy. I keep it on my desk and just grab it out what I need. The other thing that I wanted to show you, and I know it's been posted a lot, is the Studio G stamps. I have found probably the best way to really truthfully store them are using the baseball card sheets. To say the least, you can pretty well see what they are, and then when I get done with a sheet, I end up placing them in the notebook. And the notebook has these nice dividers, and I can't tell you where I got them at. I ended up getting them this last summer at a scrapbook convention, and they are these heavy sheets. Actually, you're supposed to be able to actually put your stamps right on them directly, but I use them as dividers between each of the sections, so it's easier to turn the pages and to find your stamps, needless to say. I just found that these were too flip-floppy to put on the shelf then to store unless I had these dividers. I do believe they're called see-through storage panels. I'm not sure if that's correct, but as you can see, it does work very nice, and it does fit all the Studio G, and some of the other like Ink and Dink and Do's will go in there as well. And then I just put those away by the section. If you're not familiar, all of Studio G stamps usually come out in this series, and so I do try to put them in there by the series. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that way. I might go ahead and start dividing them out by what they are, because it makes me have to dig quite a bit. But I just wanted to share those techniques with you, and hope everyone have a great weekend and happy stamping, scrapping, and etc. Bye.